Welcome back to Movies Outpost. Today we'll be diving into a mystery action thriller film titled Hush. Enjoy the recap. Our tale begins within a cozy woodland. There stands a quaint little house. Within its walls, the aroma of an imminent dinner wafts through the air as asparagus sizzles in a pan, while rice and lamb ribs are carefully monitored in the oven. Maddie, the occupant, scrutinizes a recipe for the perfect sauce, but her first taste test results in a comically distasteful experience when an invitation from her neighbor pops up on her computer. Maddie readily agrees. As she hooks her computer to the charger, she keeps up the chatter with her neighbor through messages. Calling her feline companion in, she fills a bowl with dinner just as her neighbor makes her way toward the house. Upon arrival, Maddie steps out to greet her guest, Sarah, who excitedly reveals she's read Maddie's book. Eager to converse in sign language, she tries to communicate with Maddie, who is deaf. Maddie, adept at lip reading, humors Sarah's effort to practice signing. As they discuss the book, Sarah confesses her fondness for it and admits that she tried and failed to predict the ending. Maddie reveals that her creative mind, filled with an array of story endings, enables her to keep her readers guessing. Her ideas play out like cinematic masterpieces in her mind, and sometimes it's a struggle to silence these inner voices. When Sarah inquires about her internal dialogue, Maddie confides that it echoes her mother's voice. Abruptly, the fire alarm blares, interrupting their conversation. They hurry inside, Maddie disabling the alarm, while Sarah rescues the lamb from the oven. Amidst the chaos, the cat makes a swift exit. Sarah remarks on the alarm's deafening volume, but Maddie explains its loudness is crucial for her to sense the vibrations while asleep. Later, they find solace on the porch, musing over the whereabouts of the cat. But Maddie assures Sarah not to fret, as her cat is an independent spirit, much like herself. Sarah suggests ordering food from outside as their home-cooked meal ended in disaster, but Maddie gently declines, citing work commitments. Before departing, Sarah enthusiastically practices the sign language she learned from Maddie. Once alone, Maddie receives a message from Craig, who confesses he's been thinking about her, but she promptly deletes it. Later that night, Maddie finds herself immersed in her latest novel, chewing on dinner as she deliberates over the perfect ending. She reaches a roadblock in her writing and impulsively tries to FaceTime Craig. Yet at the last moment, she cancels the call. Despite Craig's repeated attempts to contact her, Maddie remains elusive, neither answering on her laptop nor her phone. Choosing to address the kitchen chaos from her earlier cooking endeavor, Maddie is completely oblivious to the frantic banging on her door by Sarah. In a cruel twist of fate, an unseen assailant strikes Sarah with an arrow, taking her life right outside Maddie's window, with Maddie none the wiser. The killer, observing Maddie through the window, tests her awareness by tapping on the glass. Upon realizing she doesn't hear him, he calmly removes Sarah's body from view. Persistent, Craig continues trying to reach Maddie, who remains resolute in her decision not to answer. Maddie returns to her writing but finds little improvement. Unbeknownst to her, the intruder quietly enters her home and moves towards her. Blissfully ignorant of the danger lurking behind her, Maddie chuckles at her own writer's block. Just then, a FaceTime call from her sister lights up her screen, prompting the killer to retreat out of the camera's view. Engaging in a lively chat about her novel, Maddie segues into discussing Craig. Her sister encourages her to dive back into the dating scene, a prospect Maddie isn't ready for. The conversation then shifts to her sister's plea for Maddie to move back to the city and stop isolating herself. Meanwhile, the intruder stealthily picks up Maddie's phone from the counter, an act caught on the camera. Maddie brushes off her sister's concern, blaming it on her cat before saying goodbye to look for her. She attempts to lure her cat by shaking a bowl of cat food, but there's no response. Her search through the house proves fruitless, and even an open-door invitation doesn't bring the cat back. Settling back to write, Maddie is startled by an incoming picture message sent from her own phone. The images depict her previous cat search, snapping her back to the present moment. Fear settling in, Maddie cautiously approaches the door, only to find the killer lurking on her porch, brandishing her stolen phone. In a desperate scramble, she manages to slam the door shut just in time. The killer prowls around, testing all entrances, but Maddie has successfully barricaded herself inside. As he moves to another part of the house, Maddie attempts to dial 911 on her computer, but the power is suddenly cut. She tries connecting to Sarah's Wi-Fi network, but the password eludes her. The killer briefly taunts her before retreating. Venturing to the door, Maddie witnesses him slashing the tires of her car before disappearing into the woods. In a bid to communicate, she scribbles a message on the glass door with a flashlight illuminating it. The killer returns to read the message, removing his mask in the process. He inquires if she can lip read, to which she nods in confirmation. The man reveals his knowledge of her solitary existence, emphasizing that no one will come to her aid. He taunts her with the threat of entering her house at his will, choosing to strike only when she longs for death. Maddie silently acknowledges his message. His ominous parting words insinuate a cruel game. Regaining her composure, Maddie arms herself with a knife and hammer from the kitchen and proceeds to survey the living room. She then secures her bedroom, barricading the door and drawing the curtains over her windows. A cautious peep outside reveals no sight of him. Suddenly, the shadowy silhouette of the man appears, casting eerie movements on the ground as he knocks against her window with Sarah's lifeless body. The horrifying sight compels Maddie to retreat to the living room, tears streaming down her face. A sudden recollection of Sarah tucking her phone into her back pocket gives Maddie a plan. She attempts to trigger her car alarm using her keys from inside, but the window impedes her. Bravely, she flings open the door, successfully setting off the alarm. The man is drawn to the noise, allowing Maddie to dash back to her room and frantically search Sarah's pockets for her phone. But the man returns too soon. Maddie retreats just in time to slam the window on his fingers. Seizing this fleeting moment of advantage, she plunges her knife into him. Wounded and bleeding, he tears a piece from Sarah's shirt to bandage his injury. Realizing Maddie's desperate search for the phone, he brandishes it before placing it back on Sarah's body. Maddie retreats to the living room while the man makes another futile attempt to breach the window. Moments later, Maddie catches sight of him prowling outside, prompting her to seek cover. The man peers through the glass door, Maddie out of sight, yet his intuition tells him where she's concealed. Maddie cautiously opens the door and slips out of the house, hiding herself when she spots him. He walks straight past her, unaware she's beneath the porch, her senses tuned to feel the vibrations of his footsteps on the wood above. Deviously, he circles the house, manipulating Maddie into leaving her hiding spot. As she sprints away, he fires several crossbow bolts, narrowly missing each time. She manages to get back inside, bolting the door behind her. Ascending to the second floor, Maddie keeps watch over him from an elevated vantage point. Seeing him at the front door, she quietly opens a window, climbing out at the rear of the house. She throws her lit flashlight into the woods to distract him, drawing his attention away from her descent from the roof. Suddenly, he reappears and shoots her with the crossbow. As he clambers up to confirm his hit, Maddie wrenches the arrow from her leg. When he reaches the rooftop, she thrusts him off, seizing his crossbow. Despite her lack of knowledge about the weapon, she manages to retreat into the house before he reaches her. Brandishing the crossbow, she manages to scare him away. She hurries to the bathroom to tend to her wound, dousing it with alcohol and bandaging it to stem the bleeding. Alone, in pain, and scared, she tries to formulate a plan, examining the crossbow more closely and spotting markings on it. Maddie struggles to load it, the bow refusing to lock into the mechanism. As she tries again, she's unaware of the man watching her from the bathroom window. Unexpectedly, another man knocks at her front door, calling for Sarah. While Maddie remains unaware due to her deafness, the killer hears him clearly. The newcomer is Sarah's partner, John. He sees Maddie's message on the door and prepares to call the police, only to be confronted by the killer, now impersonating a police officer. John, unalarmed, assures him that the phone isn't a weapon and that he doesn't seek any conflict. The imposter instructs John to kneel and present his identification. John agrees, placing his phone on the ground to retrieve his wallet. The man seizes the wallet, scrutinizing John's ID. He inquires whether John lives next door, to which John nods affirmatively. Apologizing for the scare, the man weaves an elaborate lie about responding to a call, finding the house abandoned, and being ambushed by an unseen assailant who stole his gun and radio. John's suspicion begins to stir, but the man claims to be a novice deputy, further playing into his deceit. Requesting to use John's phone, he feigns a call to his precinct to maintain the ruse. After the faux call, he does not return John's phone, instead slipping it into his own pocket. As their conversation steers towards Maddie, John shares her reclusive nature. Noticing the man's bleeding arm, John questions its origin, prompting another lie about his supposed assailant. John asks for his phone back, and as the man complies, Sarah's earring falls out of his pocket, a detail that doesn't escape John's attention. Growing suspicious, John begins to question the man more pointedly, seeking to trap him in a lie. However, the man skillfully evades each query. Meanwhile, Maddie is still grappling with the crossbow, unable to draw the bowstring back. John's suspicion solidifies. He's now certain the man is not a police officer. He discloses that Maddie keeps a spare key in a planter at the bottom of the steps. As the imposter descends to verify, John discreetly picks up a rock, engaging the man in conversation to mask his hidden intentions. Gradually, he inches closer to the man, planning his next move. As John readies himself to strike, Maddie begins banging on the window, inadvertently drawing the man's attention. He reacts quickly, stabbing John before he can deliver his attack. Although injured, John continues his assault, but the man evades him until he collapses. All the while, Maddie watches the scene unfold helplessly from the window. The man turns to her, thanking her sardonically for her timely distraction. John, barely holding on, lunges at the man again, instructing Maddie to run for her life. As she envisions herself fleeing through the back door, the man catches up to her, striking her dead with a rock. However, this violent scenario is merely a product of Maddie's terrified imagination. She snaps back to reality, her internal voice reminding her that escape is not a viable option. She's still confined within her house while John lays lifeless outside, having failed to subdue the man. Maddie's mind races, exploring all possible courses of action and their probable outcomes. She considers shooting the man or restoring power to the house, pondering potential hiding spots like the bathroom or the loft. Yet these solutions are temporary at best. Her injury could lead to her bleeding out, and she risks losing consciousness due to her deteriorating condition. She even contemplates the crawlspace as a potential hiding place, but remembers that he has seen her hide there before. Her condition is worsening, marked by increasing dizziness, a chilling coldness, and blurring vision. Maddie realizes the killer's advantage over her, no matter which path she chooses. She can't run, hide, or wait. There's only one remaining option. Maddie must face her fears and confront the man. Her only chance of survival is to kill him. While Maddie is formulating her plan, the man is rummaging through John's pockets, discovering a pack of cigarettes. Seeing an opportunity to rest, the man casually saunters to Maddie's car and retrieves a wrench from inside. He perches himself on the vehicle, lighting a cigarette, deciding to give Maddie more time to weaken from her injury. Just then, Maddie's cat appears. As he moves to kill the feline, Maddie finally manages to shoot him with the crossbow. Reacting quickly, she races back into her house with the man hot on her heels. In his pursuit, he catches her hand in the door, painfully fracturing it. He relents, releasing her hand, allowing Maddie to lock the door. Ignoring the pain, Maddie readies herself for the impending showdown. Unfazed by the arrow wound, the man snaps off the shaft, declaring his intent to break into her sanctuary. Undeterred, Maddie uses her own blood to write "Do it, coward" on the glass. As he goes to retrieve the wrench, Maddie seizes the opportunity to note down his description on an open document on her laptop. With the sound of shattering glass signaling his entry, she quickly leaves a heartfelt message for her parents. She retreats to the bathroom, her safe haven. As her strength wanes, she starts to lose consciousness, unaware of the man entering through the bathroom window. A breath on her neck alerts her of his presence, and she instinctively turns around, narrowly avoiding his knife and managing to stab him instead. Maddie flees the bathroom, making it to the kitchen before collapsing on the floor. The man, wounded but determined, limps towards her. In a last-ditch effort, she sprays his eyes with a can of wasp repellent she managed to grab, disorienting him. She then triggers the fire alarm, the sudden noise further incapacitating him, causing him to drop his knife. A desperate struggle ensues as Maddie grabs the discarded knife. He manages to overpower her, pinning her to the floor. As he prepares for the final blow, she manages to grab a wine opener and plunges it into him, ending the deadly fight. With her last ounces of strength, she takes her phone from his pocket and dials 911 before succumbing to unconsciousness. When she regains consciousness, she manages to make her way out of the house, collapsing on the porch. Her faithful cat joins her, offering silent companionship as they await the arrival of the police. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.